So good evening. Maybe it's not evening for you actually, because I know there's lots of people that watch this at different times. So if evening is not your time and you're doing this in the middle of the day because you want to do a kind of midday wind down, then hello and welcome to all of you. But the people who are with me tonight, welcome to you guys too. If you are new to this class, we are very, very much in need of things like cushions and pillows and maybe a blanket if you're a bit chilly, but just really lovely, cozy things to add padding and support to your poses. Not that we do very much. Essentially, it's to kind of recline on and support us when we are resting. Okay, so you can see I've got a bolster over here. Just lean there. I've also got, and I've got two bolsters tonight. I went double, just a bit easier on my demonstrating. I've got cushions as well. I have got a yoga block that I sit on, but if you don't have a yoga block, it's fine. Just a smallish cushion to put under the hips, just for when we're seated. I am going to work with my chair to put my lower legs up on. Now, don't worry if you haven't got a chair. Most of you are in a room where there's some furniture. You could use the bed, an armchair, the couch, or you could just lie in your bed and put a couple of cushions underneath your lower leg. So as long as you've got a bunch of stuff nearby that you can grab and bring in when you need it without having to get up and go out to another room, then we're good to go. I've also got water, because one of the things that we will start to do is really need to make sure we hydrate as we bring the body's systems down. So make sure you have a little bit of that to hand. And I know it's still light where most of us are, still light down here in Brighton. But prepare the lighting in your room so that you've dimmed your overhead lights, maybe lit the candle if that's what you want to do. I think you may have seen the email that I sent about putting on a playlist in the background or some really nice music. Don't forget, once you're on mute, you can play music through your device, whether that's your laptop, your computer, your phone. You can have sound on and I won't hear it. I always try to send a recommendation of something to listen to, just to kind of open up your listening experiences, but you may just have your own favorite playlist. Either way, it's about, for me, it's about getting a sort of a ritual that we go through to make sure that you've really begun to mark the transition from being in your day and having your thoughts and doing the things that you're doing to preparing yourself for a deep rest. So sometimes we need to go through a little bit of ritual to let ourselves kind of really tune in to what we're about to do. So have a little check, make sure you've got whatever you need to hand. Now I'm starting sitting, and that works for me because I'm quite comfortable sitting upright. If you want to lie down already, you can. Remember, if at any point anything that we're doing doesn't feel right for you, come to rest, okay? And just be here with us. You don't need to participate in everything fully. All right. So we're just going to take a little collective moment where we take a lovely, slow, deep breath in through the nose. And I'm going to hold it for a second and then sigh it out. Ideally through the nose, through the mouth is fine too. And let's do that one more time. A slow breath in, all the way to the top. And then as you sigh it out, just let go of anything you don't want to hold on to emotionally during the class. And if that felt good and you want to do it one more time, do it one more time. Often we have things that are on our mind constantly, and sometimes we need to actively let them go, put them down for a moment. And this breath is quite a nice way of just doing that. So I've closed my eyes and I've drawn my awareness inside. And I'm just scanning through with my mind's eye and noticing, what am I finding there? And just notice with curiosity, no judgment, no panic, no sense of alarm. Just take a moment to observe what might be going on in your body right now. So maybe there's some aches and pains that you're just beginning to pay attention to. Maybe there's some sensations elsewhere in the body which are sort of niggling away in the background. Or simply paying attention, letting the body know, I've got you, I've noticed you, it's okay. I'm slowing down my breath. Lengthening the inhale and lengthening the exhale. And I want you, as you're sitting here or lying there breathing, to do a type of breath that we call Ujjayi breath. And it's where we slightly tighten the throat. And I always like to say the easiest way to describe this is by imagining you're going to do a very quiet Darth Vader impression. So you slightly tighten the throat, which allows the breath to move in a little bit slower. But you're also really conscious of the noise, which means that you take your focus to your breath a little bit more, because that mind is a busy thing and it will zip around all over the place despite us really working on focusing on the breath. So the Ujjayi breath helps us concentrate more. It's a very soft noise just in the back of your throat. And of course, if it doesn't work for you, if you don't like it, you don't need to do it. But I quite like the Ujjayi breath because it sort of overrides the noise inside my head. At the end of a day, if this is when you're doing your class, at the end of the day, it can be quite useful. So I'm going to be inviting you to keep the breath slow for the whole of the practice, okay? Really that simple. We're not going to do any particular breathing exercise. It's just about slow. And I'm going to set us up in our first thing. And it will be to lie on our back. I'm going to put my legs, excuse me, my legs up, my lower leg up on the seat of my chair. I'm going to bring my chair over here and move myself into position. Now, if you're not so comfortable lying flat, I would encourage you to have a pillow under your back and then a cushion under your head, not under the bottom, any of it, but the back and then the head. So you're elevating the back up off the floor, or however you're lying, wherever you are. So get yourself into position. Remember, you can use any furniture. Now, my chair is a little bit higher than the length of my thigh bone, which means my hips might feel a little bit like they're being lifted up off the floor. So I'm going to take a cushion and have that to the side of me. And I'm going to lift my hips up once I'm there and put the cushion underneath. I'm also going to have something for my head, I think. So again, you're in charge of how your practice evolves. So whatever works for you, whatever helps you to feel most comfortable, I want you to find that for yourself. So I've put the cushion under the back of my hips. I just pushed my heels into my chair and lifted my bottom up. Hopefully you've all got enough strength to be able to do that. If you need it, you might not. If you're working on quite a low surface, you won't need to support the hips. And then when you're ready, move anything out the way. And we're just going to take those arms out wide. Now, of course, once you're here, and if you've started to notice that it perhaps puts a little bit too much pressure under the head, you can either try lifting the head a little bit higher, or maybe just come down and don't elevate the legs. But for most people, this normally is quite a nice thing to do towards the end of the day. Just take some of the pressure out of the legs, take the weight out, literally take the weight off your feet. With my arms out wide, I'm really letting them surrender down to the floor. I'm going to use my breath very softly. Again, come back to the Ujjayi breath if you want to, but keep it soft so that we're simply focusing on lengthening the inhale and lengthening the exhale. Jaw stays relaxed, tongue stays soft in the mouth, forehead stays soft. And you're just allowing the spine to surrender down into the floor or the mat or the bed, whatever you're lying on. Surrendering down. Finding the weight of the head. Slow inhale, slow exhale. Just observing what's going on in the mind. It's very easy when the body is still for the mind to become active. And if it's busy, just keep returning to a point in the nose where you feel that cooler air moving in and the warmer air moving out. All right. What we're going to do now is gently just give our hands a little bit of a wiggle. So wriggle your fingers around. Stretch the hands wide open and then let the fingers curl again. Squeeze the hands into a little bit of a fist and then let the hands soften. I'm going to bring my arms back in towards the sides of my body. I'm just letting my hands rest on my torso. Let them rest wherever is comfortable. And then I'm going to slowly begin to make my way out of this gentle supported inversion. So bending your legs, I want you to roll slowly over onto your side. So don't try and come up quickly. I'm going to stay on my side and just give my body time for the circulation to settle. Nice and slow. Just observe any sensations in the legs. Maybe a hot, cold sensation, maybe some tingling. And now, from here, we're going to move ourselves back onto our mats, but this time we're going to be lying on the back of the body. So again, if you don't like lying flat, have a pillow for the back and then a cushion for the head. I'm just going to work with a cushion for the head. I've got another cushion next to the side of me and my belt. Okay, so remember the belt can just be a scarf or a tie. It doesn't have to be a yoga belt. And I'm moving my chair off my mat. I think most of you work with existing furniture in your room, so that should be fairly easy. Okay. So coming down onto the back of the body, I've got both of my legs bent. I've got my feet a little bit wider than hip width so I can let those knees rest in against each other. I've got one hand on my lower abdomen and one hand on my lower ribs. And just come back to that Ujjayi breath. Again, let go of it if it doesn't work for you, if it's annoying you or frustrating. Just come back to focusing on the breath. And really feel the weight of the back of the body sinking down into the floor, into the support. As you let go gently of layer upon layer of tension, tension that we hold consciously and also unconsciously. I'm just observing the rise and fall of the hands, very soft movement. Okay. We're going to take supported tree pose next. So I'm going to straighten down my left leg and just let that leg lie nice and relaxed. And I'm going to bring my cushion next to my right leg. And I'm going to be using it in a moment. But the first thing I want us to do is just pull that bent knee in to the right leg. Just draw it in towards you. See how it feels. If pulling the shin in towards you doesn't feel so good, put the hands behind the knee. And that means that you're drawing the thigh in, and you can give a little bit more space for the knee joint if it's not so happy. So I'm just working here. Check those shoulders and arms haven't got tense. And then I'm going to put the foot back down on the mat and then just let the knee drop out wide. So that cushion is there to catch the leg, give it some support. And I'm just going to let the leg lie out to the side in this supported hip opener. And then I'm going to pick up my belt. I'm going to do a couple of stretches for our shoulders. You can work with a belt or you can work without. If you know this pose, you know what we're going to do, and you don't want to work with a belt, then you don't have to. Just kind of organizes the arms a little bit more. But I'm basically holding the belt sort of wider than hip width, wider than shoulder width actually. I'm going to breathe in as I take those arms all the way back. And then I'm bending the arms to breathe out and bring them all the way back down. Just take a moment. Now, if that felt good, by all means, let's do it again. If it was too strong for you, just take your arms out wide, let go of the belt. If you're coming with me again, let's take those arms back. And this time, if you feel like you can hold the stretch, so I'm just going to let my hands float there. But I'm breathing, using the breath to open up the chest. If holding doesn't feel right, then just moving is fine. You can come in and out, or even just bring the arms back to resting by your side, whatever is right for you. But once you're done, let's bend the arms and bring them all the way back. And let those hands again rest just on the torso. So I'm staying here still with my leg in this shape out to the side. Focusing back in on my breath. Okay. I'm going to gently release out of this pose by bringing that bent knee back. Now you can use a hand to move the leg. You don't have to let the leg do all the work by itself. And let's straighten it down onto the mat. And I just want you to notice how that leg feels. It should feel heavy. Just take your awareness there. Observe as it sinks down into the floor. Coming back to the breath. Okay. I'm going to move the cushion that I worked with on the right side to the second side, the left. And I'm going to take my left leg now and bend it up and draw it in. Remember, you can have the hand around the shin or around the back of the thigh, whichever feels better for you, better for your knees. And just hold here, taking a little stretch through. Check those shoulders haven't got too tense. That's it. And then, when you're ready, let's place the foot down. Place it down on the mat. Bring the cushion in right next to the hip and let the knee drop out wide. Okay, just check that the leg is comfortable, the hip isn't being asked to do too much. And you don't have to repeat the shoulders, but if you want to, if that felt good, I'm just going to hand it to you. You can either just take them back once and then come to rest. You can take them straight back and hold them, or you can let those arms just be out wide to the side. So you choose what you're doing with your arms. Make sure you're choosing what's right for you rather than what you would like your body to be doing. Sometimes we think, oh yes, I like a good shoulder stretch, and we might push ourselves a bit much, even if the arms are saying, actually, we're quite tired. So make sure you're paying close attention. Use the breath once the arms are moving back above the head, using the breath to open up in between those ribs. And again, when you're done, bend the arms to bring them back. Let the hands rest on the torso. Slow inhale, slow exhale. Good. Jaw relaxed, tongue soft, eyes closed. Checking in again. What's going on in the mind? Okay. Let's take a slow breath in. As you exhale, gently bring that bent knee back up. Use a hand if that helps. And then let's slide that leg down, all the way down to the floor. You should have two legs now that feel really heavy and relaxed. Just place your hands now on your torso, wherever feels good. So it might be one hand on the heart, or one hand on the stomach, and then one hand lower ribs, wherever feels right for you. By your hip bones, you might have a little discomfort somewhere that would benefit from the heat of your hand. So just place the hands on your body and allow the heat of the hand to gently seep through. If the hands aren't quite warm enough, try giving them a little bit of a rub. That can give you a little bit more heat. I know we don't all have warm hands. Mine are not particularly warm right now, but they're definitely warming up. Okay. I'm going to take a slow breath in. And as you exhale, we're going to bend our legs. So let's just do that together. Let those legs come back to being bent, feet on solid ground. And I'm going to take my arms out wide to the side once more. And just take a really gentle swing of the knees from side to side. So I'm just going to drop them over to the right, bring one back, then the other. Drop them over to the left, bring one back, then the other. And just do that a couple more times each side. It's a really lovely way of releasing through the sides of the waist, through the hips, the lower back a little. once you've done an even amount, and come to rest. Both legs again, knees pointing up, feet on the floor. I'm going to straighten down my left leg, so I've still got my right leg bent, foot on the mat. And I'm going to take a slow, deep breath in. As I exhale, I'm going to push into my right foot and just roll my hips over onto the left side. So you'll feel that right shoulder gently lift up away from the floor. Let's take an inhale here, create a bit of space around the side of the right rib cage. And exhale, drop it down. I'm going to do that once more. Just push into the foot, tip over a little bit, inhale. Exhale, bring it down. And let's slide the leg down to flat. Take a moment. We're not rushing between sides. Okay. I'm bending up the left leg. Same thing. Deep breath in. Exhale, push. Gently tip. Inhale. Exhale, release. We're going to do one more. Gently push. Tipping over onto the side. Breathe into the shoulder. And exhale to bring it back down. And again, let's straighten down the leg. Slow breath in, slow breath out. Okay. Again, I'm bringing my hands back in to rest on my torso. I've got one hand by my lower abdomen, one hand by my lower ribs. And just allowing the breath to move the hands gently up, slowly down. All right. We're going to move now. So we're going to move into supported child's pose. Now, you might already know that that's not a position that you quite enjoy. So what you can do, if child's pose isn't your thing, you can take a couple of pillows or cushions, be on your side, and put the pillows between your knees, or if you've got a bolster, put that top knee up on your bolster, okay? But for those that are coming into child's pose, just roll onto your side and slowly, gently come up. Now, this is a great point for everyone to take a little hydration moment. So here's a little cheers. And we're going to bring as much support as you need. So if you've got a bolster, just because you've got a bolster doesn't mean it's the right height for you. You may want to put a cushion on it, or even a cushion under it. You may want a cushion on it and a block under it. So you have to be comfortable, okay? It's a restorative pose designed to rest. So I'm here with my bolster and my cushion. Now, as you can see, I am sitting back on my heels. This doesn't work for everyone, I'm aware. You can try, before you go to recovery and just abandon ship, you can try putting a cushion between your bottom and your heels. if that makes it any easier for you. I'm just trying to give options. If I've done that, I'll definitely bring a little bit more height this end. What we're looking for are the hips to be lower than the head, okay? So I don't want to see anyone's bottom up in the air and their head low. Get as much support as you can to elevate the head just a little bit higher than your bottom. Otherwise, you're going to end up with the blood being kind of tipped down. It will raise the blood pressure a little bit. So we're working to keep things nice and relaxed. But again, you've got the option to lie on your side. And I say on your side because it means that you've got a bit more awareness of the back of the body, which is what we've got here. So in child's pose, we can really feel those back ribs expanding. And that's what I want you to focus on now. Close the eyes. And as you breathe in your mind's eye, get a visual of what's happening with the back of the body. I want you to imagine that you're expanding it out as much as you can without force or strain. And then gently allowing it to draw back in towards the spine. Be careful to not over-breathe. So keep it soft whilst we are breathing slowly and deeply. I don't want you to be over-breathing. So if at any point it feels too much, just completely stop any conscious breath work and just breathe. But remember all the time that you spend now slowing down the breath is going to benefit you later when you want to kind of really enter into a deeper sleep. You've got access now to that calmer state. You just need to tap back into the breath when you're ready later. And you'll instantly create that kind of muscle memory within the body. That letting go, the softness, the surrendering. I'm going to turn my head the other way. Obviously, if you're on your side, you won't do that. But if you're in child's pose, you'll have had your head to one side and we're just releasing the neck the other way. Again, just maintaining that lovely slow breath. And if it helps you to think about using your out breath as a means of letting go of anything that doesn't serve you, anything that isn't aiding your rest, then do that. And physically surrender to it with the out breath. Let the arms become a little heavier. The head, neck, the chest a little heavier. Okay, we're going to release our legs now because I'm sure you've had enough of kneeling, but the way that we're going to do it is just by coming up onto our hands and knees for a moment here. And I'm going to straighten one leg out behind me and just open out the back of that knee. Push the heel a little bit away from me. And let's switch sides, just straighten out the other side. And again, push the heel a little bit further away. You'll feel that stretch into the calf muscle. Okay. And I'm going to come back now onto the back of my body. So I'm going to have my bolster to the side of me because we will work towards doing a twist at some point soon. But I'm going to take my belt and just do a little bit of work on my legs. So I've got a pillow for my head still. And again, use as much support underneath the back of the body as you need. And we'll come to lying down. Now, if you're ready to come to completely restful position, you can, okay? And you don't need to do any of this. But for those that want to have a little bit of a stretch, you may not have been as mobile today. Maybe you've been static, or maybe you've been busy and your legs feel tired. Either way, having a bit of a stretch and an inversion of the leg is quite a nice thing to do. So I'm just drawing the toes down towards my face. Stretching out the leg. I've put the belt around the foot because it just makes it easier. I don't have to use the strength of the leg particularly. But nor am I holding my arms bent, so I'm not pulling the belt. I've stretched my arms up and my hands are just hanging off the belt actually, so there's nothing particularly working. I am going to take the belt now into the opposite hand to raised leg. So it's my left hand holding the belt just around the right foot. And I'm straightening that top leg and just crossing it over the bend. Taking a little bit of an extra stretch down the outer edge of the hip. You'll feel, some of you will feel quite strong pull here. That's your iliotibial band. Others won't notice it as much. It all depends what's happening for you in your body. I'm going to bring it back and take the belt off. Just bring that foot down. Just let the legs be bent for a moment. Don't whiz to the second side. And just notice that difference, the kind of hot, cold feeling as the blood settles back in. No rush to do the second side. Okay. I'm going to take the belt and put it around the ball of the foot. And again, stretch up. Draw the toes down towards me. That's it. And then just take the belt into one hand and let's cross it over. That's it. Now you might feel quite a difference between the sides, you might not. It is not uncommon. We are not symmetrical creatures. And let's bring that one back. Okay, and release. And let's bring both legs down to straight for a moment. Down we go. Okay. So we'll do just a little bit of hip work from where we are. And I'm going to bend both legs once more. And I'm taking the side of the right foot and just placing it on the front of the left thigh. I'm just turning the leg out. Okay. And with my legs in this position, I'm just going to rock and roll a little bit over the lower back. So you may want your hands down by your hips for a bit of security, stability. And I'm literally just using this rock and roll as a bit of a lower back massage. So I'm not asking you to go far. You certainly shouldn't be rolling or swinging around from side to side very much. It's a really small movement. Okay. Now, if you feel like you want to increase the work into the hip stretch, just bring yourself back to center. And you can try lifting up that lower leg. See how it feels. Take the hand behind the thigh. If it feels too strong for you tonight, then just bring the foot right back down and come out of that stretch. Okay. When you're ready, let's take a slow breath in and gently release. I'm going to straighten both legs down before I do the second side. And I'm just going to give my legs a little bit of a roll in and out. So think of waggling the feet. Just loosening. That's it. Lots of pairs of socks rolling in and out. Okay. Allow a stillness. And then let's bend our legs. And do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to place that left foot, that's it, up on that right thigh, turn the knee out. And just stay here a moment. Let the hands be wide, they can stabilize you. And take a gentle roll from side to side. Now you might notice the difference between the sides. Sometimes it can be quite surprising how one side can feel so different. Just allow whatever you find to be okay. All right, and once you've done little rock and rolls, back to center. And again, if you're going to lift that lower leg up, lift it up and draw yourself into the stretch. You can just bring the lower foot a little bit nearer. So that will increase the stretch a very small amount. If you are wanting to lift, then do so. Slow inhale, slow exhale. And when you're ready to release, slow breath in and release down. Let those legs once again come down to straight. And give them a little bit of a waggle in and out. Now, I'm going to release the front of the hips with one more movement for the hips before we do our reclining twist. And you may or you may not want to join me for this one, so why don't I just show you? I'm actually going to lie on the front of my body. I'm going to move the cushion out the way. I'm going to bring myself onto the front and then straighten my arms down by my side. If that arm position doesn't work for you, if it makes you feel uncomfortable in your chest, use your arms as a bit of a pillow or a headrest, okay? So I'm really fine either way with whatever you're doing with your arms. But what I'm going to do is just draw one leg in, and you can either just let the leg bend there and press the front of the hips gently down, or if you can catch the foot, or even just the back of your trousers, your leggings, draw it in a little bit, okay? So we're gently stretching out those big quads at the front of the thigh there. We can hold a lot of tension in our legs. It can affect our posture. So a gentle release here. Use the breath, keep it slow. Okay, we're not spending long. I'm going to switch my legs around, but I'm also turning my head. Okay. I'm going to release on that side. And now we're going to move into the last thing that we do before Shavasana. So I'm going to take my bolster by my side here. I've got a cushion for my head. And I'm going to bring my top knee, whichever that is, we'll do both sides. So there's no right or left here. Top knee up on my support. Now, if you've only got a pillow, make sure you fold it in half and maybe even use another cushion. I want the kneecap itself to be at least, if not more, than the same height as your hip bone. Okay? So I don't want the knee look low. I want it lifted. All right. Otherwise, the twist is going to be too strong and it won't be restful. It'll mean that you feel like you can't breathe in as deeply as you want to. Let's take a deep breath in. As you exhale, draw that arm across. Now, I do a little bit of a shuffle with my chest as well as I go here. And then I've got both arms out wide. If your shoulders are very tight or that feels too much, just put a cushion under that back arm so you're not asking it to go all the way to the floor, okay? There's lots of ways of making this work, but ideally you can breathe deeply and hold this pose. Okay, from here, let's take a slow breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to bend that back arm and roll all the way over onto our side. Take a deep breath in, fill the lungs, slowly exhale. And then all we're going to do is take our support with us, roll over the back of the body, and move on to the other side. So again, make sure if you need it, you've got a cushion for that back arm in case it does float around in space. I don't want anyone having too much of a strong stretch. When you're ready, inhale, exhale as you move into the twist. Again, do a little shuffle of the shoulders if that helps. And just allow the body to open out, using the breath right down into the abdomen if you can. And once more, slow deep breath in. Exhale, bend and roll back onto your side. Take that lovely full breath in. And as you exhale, gently release. And let's come into any position that you want to be in for your Shavasana. So maybe that's on your back. And if it is, I'd recommend a pillow or a bolster under the knees, something under the head, an eye bag maybe, a blanket, a throw, whatever you want. Get yourself all perfectly comfortable and nested. And if you know you need to take a little extra water in before you switch those eyes to off, then by all means do. So I've turned my overhead lights off, so I'm less of a glare into your room. And if you have any overhead lights that you can switch off now, then by all means do. But I see most of you have got the perfect dimly lit rooms and candles going there. It's perfect. So, as comfortable as you can get yourself. That's all we're looking for. Let those eyes close. And let's come back into the stillness. The breath now should be moving with much more ease and fluidity than it was at the beginning. Slower, fuller. And as a result of that slower, fuller breath, the mind will be calmer. It's almost impossible to have a slow, deep breath and a frantic mind. The forehead is softened, the jaw is relaxed, the tongue is soft in the mouth. The whole of the back of the head sinks down, down into your support. The shoulders softened, upper arm, lower arm, palms and fingers, all soft, heavy and relaxed. The back, upper back, middle back and lower back, softening down into the floor or to the bed. The ribs loosen now. Muscles in between the intercostal muscles, softer, freer. The diaphragm, softer and freer. And the abdomen, soft and relaxed. The back of the hips heavy. The front of the thigh relaxed. The upper knee, the lower knee, the front and the back of the knee, soft, released and relaxed. The front shin, the back calf, the heel, and all of the foot and the toes, released and relaxed. Your whole body is heavy and relaxed. And you're allowing the stillness, giving yourself permission to rest consciously, knowing that when you move towards sleep, when you're ready, you will be able to drop into a deep and restful sleep state. And I'm going to encourage you to stay there for as long as feels right for you. And when you get to sleep, I hope you have a wonderful sleep. Good night all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.